Facebook banned advertising and a lot of the podcasts. This one will probably be banned on Facebook as well. That's over the last couple of months.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because is it a positive film about Reagan? Is that what the idea is that's bothering them?
It's I see it as it's a biopic is really what it is.
Yeah.
It follows him from when he was a boy in Dixon all the way through when he said goodbye to the American people when he was diagnosed for Alzheimer's, after he was president. And it's a fight against communism, which he fought all of his life. But the reason being was that the content in it was an attempt to sway an election.
Joe Rogan has been exposing a lot of the woke nonsense that is going on in the world nowadays, and he brought on a guest, Dennis Quaid, an A-list celebrity who also is fed up with all the woke nonsense and fed up with the censorship out there, and he goes absolutely nuclear exposing the woke censorship on these social media platforms. Let's get into this episode of the Joe Rogan Experience with Dennis Quaid, where they expose the woke cult for their extreme censorship. Let's check this out.
And democracy can handle it.
Yeah.
But we're kind of, excuse me, we're kind of going through, with Reagan right now, the movie, we're going through we're being, censorship is happening to us through Facebook. Facebook banned advertising and a lot of the podcasts. This one will probably be banned on Facebook as well. That's over the last couple of months.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because is it a positive film about Reagan? Is that what the idea is that's bothering them?
It's I see it as it's a biopic is really what it is.
Yeah.
It follows him from when he was a boy in Dixon all the way through when he said goodbye to the American people when he was diagnosed for Alzheimer's, after he was president. And it's a fight against communism, which he fought all of his life. But the reason being was that the content in it was an attempt to sway an election. A movie. I mean, the last time I heard, Reagan was on the ballot 40 years ago was the last time.
Do you think if you made a positive Obama movie, it would be to sway an election?
Well, there was an Obama movie that came out during an election year in 2020, and nothing about that. And to me, I mean, just the act of banning or censoring that material, as you were talking about, is an attempt to sway an election.
Yeah.
And Reagan was a Democrat before he was a Republican, by the way.
As was Trump.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, that's
since then, Facebook has said they made a mistake.
Oh.
They said that yesterday because we put out a letter to it.
And yeah, this is something that a lot of people have been talking about. So during the last election, a lot of people were saying that there was a lot of foul play going on with the mail-in ballots and stuff like that. A lot of falsifying voting records, whatever the case is. But let's say that none of that was true. There was still election meddling, in my opinion. Obviously, this is a complete opinion, but there's still foul play involved in the election. When you think of how involved social media is, like there are no town squares anymore. We don't go out and meet at, out in public anymore. We do, but we don't talk politics out in public. It's like you go out to a bar to find women and stuff. You don't go talk politics at a bar. You talk politics online. And if you're only allowed to talk about politics in a certain way online, because Elon Musk wasn't owning Twitter back then, and obviously Zuckerberg owns Meta, Facebook, all of these platforms are censoring certain speech around politics, and they're only allowing one agenda to be pushed. They're only allowing one narrative to be spread. That is foul play, in my opinion. There has to be some sort of policing, and I honestly think there was, just not the type of policing that I'm looking for. It was policing in the direction of the censorship of one side, of Dennis Quaid's side and Joe Rogan's side. But we need policing in that social media platforms should not be allowed to police to that extent, should not be allowed to put guardrails up on what we talk about and what agenda is being pushed. If you're going to be able to push a political agenda, you need to be able to push all political agendas unless they're calling for violence. If you're going to be able to push one political narrative, you need to be able to push all of them unless they're calling for violence. That needs to be the standard. That needs to be the stance. It needs to be a law, because if it's not, we're going to continue to have this election meddling. We're going to continue to have situations like Dennis Quaid is talking about, like Joe Rogan is talking about, where you're just not allowed to say certain things online. And it's not even like they're extremely bad things or dangerous things. They're just simply the wrong opinion in the eyes of the elites, in the eyes of the people who own these platforms. Luckily, we have Elon Musk now that owns X, but still on Facebook, like Dennis Quaid is talking about, you're not allowed to say certain things. You're not even allowed to advertise certain movies, biopics about Ronald Reagan without getting shut down and censored. It's really bad. And there needs to be laws that protect against this, or else we're going to still have this not unfair election. Like, if we're being honest, it's an unfair election if all social media platforms are only allowing you to say one certain opinion, only allowing you to talk about politics going in one direction. It's not a fair election. It's not. You know, when you think about how powerful, I know these are privately owned companies, or they're public on the stock market, but they're not government entities. But you think about how powerful these platforms are and the way that they can just sway exactly how people think of certain politicians and in certain political aspects, certain political policies. They can sway them with the blink of an eye. One viral video can change an entire perspective around a certain candidate. And whenever one viral video for one side is being censored because they don't make people look at their side in the light that they want you to look at them, that's really, really bad. It's not just bad for us because, oh, we're just complaining because we're on the wrong side of the censorship. It's bad for the country overall. There needs to be a marketplace of ideas, and there needs to be free speech on these social media platforms if we're actually going to start heading in the right direction for this country again and for the entire world. The rest of the world is getting even more extreme than we have it here. If you look at what's happening in the UK and Canada, it's way more extreme. The censorship is way more extreme than we have it here. And if we don't do something about it, we're going to go just in the same direction as them. And it doesn't seem like anybody's really doing anything about it other than Elon Musk buying X. And who knows how long until he's threatened with certain things that he actually bows down to. Who knows what's going to happen there?
In an article on Newsweek, and they said they made a mistake. It was their automatic systems had detected it.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah. I don't know what those automatic systems are, but there was a mistake in that.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there if it's rogue employees. The problem is, like, so many of those people are so ideologically captured. So many of the people that are working for any tech company, they're kids coming out of the universities. They're all left-wing. There's very few right-wing people involved. It's a tiny, tiny percentage. Right. And they all feel like it's their duty. They feel like they're activists before they're even anything
to save
else.
America.
Yeah, which is like, from what?
Totally drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Yeah, it's that's what's unfortunate about the way Trump talks. Because the way Trump talks, it's easy to make him the enemy because he seems like a mean old rich man. You know? And so in their eyes, that's everything that's wrong in the world.
Yes. They'll go after, make fun of you personally or whatever.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Yeah, but he didn't prosecute Hillary.
You see, it feels like a schoolyard bully or whatever. Right. But he's, with all the things they did to Trump. I do believe him when he, as far as revenge and all that stuff, that the success in the election would be his revenge.
Yeah.
And I really believe that if it was Biden who was, impeached or going to jail or whatever, I think Trump would pardon him. To tell you the truth, I don't think he wants anybody to see a president in jail because that really changes our country.
Well, he has said that openly about Hillary. Yeah. Like when he got into office, there was a lot of people that were pressing him to prosecute her, to go after her.
Yeah.
For the email thing, for a lot of different things. And he said, no, that'd be a terrible look. It'd be terrible for our country. The wife of the former president of the United States, no way.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. So all these things that people think he's going to do, well, he had the opportunity.
And it's pointless, Joe. It's pointless to try to explain to these people what Joe Rogan is trying to explain to these people. It's absolutely pointless because all they'll say about Donald Trump is lies and lies and lies. And they'll say he doesn't want women's rights. He wants to take away women's rights. Well, he said multiple times, and his supporters get mad at him over and over again for how many times he said this. He doesn't want to ban abortion. He doesn't want to push it any further. He said that over and over again, and his supporters get mad at him for it. He disavows Project 2025. They always try to throw that around, and they're like, oh, they're always trying to talk about Project 2025 like it's some ominous thing that Donald Trump is going to enact as soon as he gets in office, and he keeps disavowing it over and over again, and his supporters don't like it. And like it's so many things that they say about Donald Trump. They say that he denies that J6 ever happened. He's never denied that it's ever happened. He just says it wasn't as bad as everybody makes it out to be on the left, and a lot of the tapes that we've seen kind of confirm that to be true. And when it comes to pardoning Hillary or not trying to prosecute Hillary, that's because certain people in politics have honor and certain people don't. The left, I think, is completely out of honor. I don't think they have any honor left in them. I think it's all just, what can we do to stay in power? What can we do to gain more power? What can we do to beat Donald Trump? And it doesn't really matter if they step outside the boundaries of their morals, of their ethics, of honor. It doesn't matter. I think Donald Trump still has honor, and he wouldn't do that to Joe Biden. He wouldn't do that to Hillary Clinton. But because Joe Biden literally doesn't care about any of those things, doesn't care about honor, ethics, anything like that, but those are all completely out the window. And obviously Kamala Harris doesn't have any of those things either. But with Joe Biden, I think it was even more sad because I don't think the guy, even if he wanted to uphold his honor, he doesn't have the ability to. He doesn't have the cognitive ability. He's getting run by his wife, it's just such a sad situation over there. But Donald Trump is not that kind of guy. He's going to be the bigger man. And it's crazy to say because Donald Trump is a very, very petty guy. And to say that he has the most honor out of all of the people who could possibly be the president going forward, that's not great for our country. And I'm not saying that he's some horrible guy. I'm just saying that I think that we should hold the president of the United States to a higher standard than what it's currently held to. And I think that's pretty obvious, but it needs to be said over and over again. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about what Dennis Quaid had to say to Joe Rogan about the censorship on social media. I found this very interesting that even his movie, they're just trying to advertise a movie about Ronald Reagan, and it's getting censored on Facebook and on Meta. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this whole woke censorship involved with this Joe Rogan and Dennis Quaid situation.